Hey guys, welcome to the pre-algebra recap video where we're just recapping and reviewing multiplying and dividing fractions. So why don't you just take a second, pause the video, and just figure this one out. I'm pretty sure you guys will be able to do it. Play the video when you're done. Alright, so hopefully you remembered with multiplying fractions, you just literally multiply straight across the top. 3 times 18, or 3 times 6 is 18, and then multiply across the bottom. 5 times 7 is 35. So can I simplify? Well, I need to divide both of these by the same number if I'm going to simplify. So what are the factors of 18? Well, let's see. 1 and 18 are factors of 18. 2 can be multiplied by 9 to get 18. 3 can be multiplied by 6 to get 18, but that's it. And you know what? None of those divide into 35 except for the 1. But if I were to divide the top and the bottom both by 1, I'd still have 18/35. So I am done, and that is the answer. So why don't you guys try this next one, pause the video, and then give it a play when you're done. There you go. Give it a shot. Alright, so if you were to say, oh, it's multiplying fractions, let's multiply across the top, multiply across the bottom, you would not be wrong. But what can you do first? Remember, we can cross cancel. Okay, so if I cross cancel, what does that mean? Well, it means I'm going to look at the two numbers that are across from each other. So this 4 and this 8. Okay, so one's going to be a numerator, one's a denominator. Can I cancel those? Well, I can't completely cancel both of them, but I could, well, let's see, I could divide both of them by 4. If I divided 4 by 4, that would give me, well, 1. If I divided 8 by 4, it'd give me 2. All right, how about some more cross-canceling? Well, 21 and 7. I could divide 7 and 21 both by 7. 7 divided by 7 would be 1. 21 divided by 7 would be 3. And so now I can just, well, can I simplify this fraction? Well, actually 1 over 1 is really just 1, so I could. 3 over 2, can't simplify that. So now let's just multiply across the top. So now I'm multiplying 1 times 3, which of course is 3, and then 1 times 2, which is 2, and my answer could be 3 halves, or you could make it 1 and 1/2 if I wanted to mix number. Actually, generally, and you'll hear this a lot from me this year, I like improper fractions for most of the time. The only exception is when we're talking about like length, right? If you had to cut a board and it had to be 1.5 feet long, you'd say, hey, I need to cut this board to a length of 1.5 feet. You wouldn't say, I need to cut it to 3 halves of a foot. Or, you know, it sounds a lot better to say, I need 1.5 cups of flour versus saying, I need 3 halves of a cup of flour. That doesn't really make a lot of sense. So for the most part, I do like improper fractions unless we're talking about measurement of anything, and then we're talking about mixed numbers. All right, so let's talk about dividing fractions, okay? So first of all, I need to ask myself, okay, before I even think about dividing, let alone cross-canceling, and I need, well, first of all, it's division, so that's going to change things a little bit. Anyway, I need to look and say, can I simplify any of these fractions, like on their own? Not cross-canceling, but just like simplifying. Well, yeah, 10/15, that simplifies. Well, if I divide 10 by 5, it'd give me 2. 15 divided by 5 would be 3. Okay, so now we're talking about 2/3 divided by, well, let's look at this. Let's see, 8 and 24. Can I simplify that? Yeah, actually, if I divide 8 by 8, I get 1. If I divide 24 by 8, I get 3. Great. So now, what do? Well, remember in dividing fractions, we do keep, change, flip, and we'll talk a lot more about that later on, but keep means keep the first, okay, fraction, 2/3. Change means, well, this was division, let's change it to multiplication, but when I do that, I need to do the last part, which is flip. I'm going to take 1/3 and flip it, and it's going to become 3 over 1. And 3 over 1 is actually technically what we call the reciprocal of 1/3, all right? So anyway, now, should I just go ahead and multiply straight across the top, straight across the bottom? Well, you could, it wouldn't be wrong, but I can still, what? Cross-cancel. I have a 3 and a 3 there. Well, if I divide 3 by 3, you get 1, and divide that, 3 by 3, you also get 1. So now let's just go ahead and multiply. So 2 times 1 is 2 over, well, 1 times 1 is 1. And you know, it's not a wrong answer, but we can do what? Well, simplify, right? Anything over 1 is just itself. So 2 over 1 is really just 2, and you are done. All right, so let's check this one out. Actually, I want you to pause the video. I want you to try this one. This will be our last problem. Play it when you're done, see how you do, and then we'll be done. All right, so 0.7 divided by 8/11. Well, we first of all have a big problem. We have a decimal and a fraction. Now, when I say big problem, it's not a problem we can't fix, but we have to fix it, right? So this has to become a decimal, or this needs to become a fraction. 8/11. I'm just imagining taking 8, dividing it by 11. That doesn't sound like a lot of fun, okay? So instead of making this a decimal, let's make this a fraction. Well, let's see. 7 is in the 10th place, so if I'm going to make a fraction out of it, it's going to be something over 10, and it's going to be, well, that number, 7, all right? So now we're taking 7/10 divided by 8/11. That looks a little more friendly. Now, before I can think about cross-canceling, though, cross-canceling is only for multiplication. So I need to do the keep, change, flip. So I'm keeping the 7/10, change the sign from division to multiplication, and then you flip the second fraction. So it becomes 11 over 8. All right, so now can I simplify any of these fractions, or can I cross-cancel? Well, I can't simplify this. I can't simplify this. Cross-canceling, well, 7 and 8, well, no common factors there. 10 and 11, no common factors there. So here's the cool thing. I can't cross-cancel, which is kind of disappointing because we know that it simplifies things. But when you are either done cross-canceling or you can't cross-cancel at all, whatever you get in your answer, so 7 times 11 would be 77, and then 10 times 8 is, of course, 80. This answer, because we could not cross-cancel, is actually as simple as it gets. So we don't need to sit there and go, oh man, okay, 77 and 80, can I divide anything by 77 and 80? You don't have to do any of that because you couldn't cross-cancel. And we didn't have to simplify any of these fractions. So what we get here is what we get. It's the end. It's done. It's simple. It's as simple as it gets. And this problem is over. And consequently, so is this video, guys. Thank you for hanging with me, talking about multiplying and dividing fractions. I will see you in class.